Welcome to the DartBrain podcast with Jim Long.
Hey there, dart nerds, double mechanics, and tungsten tacticians. Welcome back to DartBrain, the podcast where missing double one can crush your soul, but building confidence can rebuild it one dart at a time. I'm your host, Clint Clarkson, part-time darts philosopher, full-time overthinker, and today we're talking about confidence, the most powerful tool in your sports psychology toolkit. Imagine stepping up to the Oche with a heartbeat so steady you could set a metronome to it. No second guessing, no chimp chatter, just calm certainty that the dart will fly true. That's confidence. Not swagger, not bravado, real confidence. And in the world of darts, it might be the sharpest weapon you can carry. Today, we're joined by a man who knows that weapon well, Canadian Tour card holder Jim, the Gentleman Long. If you've ever wondered how to build belief in your throw and hold on to it when the pressure's crushing, this is the episode you don't want to miss. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thanks, Clint. Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about your darting history first to kick things off. How did you get into darts? Was there a moment that you knew that this was your sport?
It's funny. I've told the story many times, but I used to play billiards, pool, and I went down to our local tavern, the Wardsville Hotel, to play some pool one night, and nobody was playing pool, and everybody was at the back, and I didn't even realize we had dartboards in the bar back there, and so they needed one more guy to play blind draw, so they just pulled the names out of the hat, and I played darts that night and never played pool again, and just fell in love with the game right away. I started going to tournaments right away with a friend of mine. Most people listening probably won't understand this, but we used to have to go to a Legion and look at their bulletin board to find flyers for dart tournaments, because there was no social media. And you'd have to hear it from people or make a phone call or whatever. And so, I was hooked right away, and I've been playing since I was 18 years old. So long time.
So you've been playing 40 years, just about. Okay.
39. I'm 57.
39 years. Okay. Yeah. So in that time, what's been the highlight so far? You've won a national championship. You've won a Canadian Open. You've qualified for PDC Tour. You've done well on the CDC. What's been the thing that still gives you goosebumps?
It's funny. I don't overplay anything. I don't get too high about winning anything. I know I was asked at Modus, what would it mean if you won this week? I'd be like, well, it's just a game of darts, But I think my biggest accomplishment is getting on the PDC Tour. Winning the Legion singles was always very hard. It was one leg of 501 double in, double out. Three different zones in Ontario just to make it to all of Canada, and then having to win there. That was special. But honestly, the game against Michael Smith obviously was fantastic. It was exciting. Playing with Dawson Merschel in Germany was an absolute highlight. Sitting in those rooms with those guys and us upsetting Australia. Alexander Palace. There's loads of great memories for sure.
Right. How great is it to see Dawson throwing again, playing with Jeff over at the Modus Pairs?
Yeah, like he never left. He played fantastic. So yeah, that's
just as good as he ever was, right?
Yeah, and composure, and I think his scoring was fantastic, and he had some amazing finishes. I watched quite a lot of it.
Yeah, they did great over the Canadian boys. I thought they were going to get it done.
Well, a little shocking. They're down 3-0, I think, the match before, and win 4-3, and then they go up 3-0 and then lose 4-3. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
darts.
Right. Yeah. All right. What's one thing about your darts journey that people don't know?
Boy, I don't know, maybe that I really had no intention of getting my tour card, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I really just planned on going and playing the Challenge Tour and playing Modus Super Series, for the next year. But no, I've done a few of these, so I don't know if there's anything I haven't told everybody.
All right. Who has been or what has been your biggest influence since you started playing the game and taking it more seriously?
Well, I think, it's funny. Years and years ago, playing a local tournament, I was playing a legend of the game, Dave Green. And he was the first player ever to hit back-to-back 170 finishes, in a tournament. And that was even, I think it was anywhere. Um, and I played him the next round. It's double in, double out tournament, and I beat him. And then I went to the finals and I lost. And he came over afterwards and patted me on the back and just said, don't feel too bad. There's 199 other guys who wish they were in your shoes, getting second. Um, and I think things like that, I just realized, not to take things too serious. You know what I mean? Dave had, just done something incredible, and, and he was, pretty casual about it, so, learning to, just play the game because you want to play and compete because you want to compete. And, um, yeah, now it's just another level.
Okay, that's actually a really nice segue into this next question because you're talking about playing because you want to play and finding the enjoyment in the game. So, how do you personally define success in darts? Like, what is success for you at the end of the day?
Something, I'm a little bit twisted on this because I've always felt like as long as I played well, um, and I was happy with how I played, you're going to lose games. You know what I mean? You're going to lose. The other guys are just going to play better. The timing's going to be off. That happens all the time. Um, but I don't ever think it's okay to be satisfied losing either. And I think that's kind of been a little bit of my history. I've been okay with it just because, it's never been life changing. And I just always felt like it was no big deal. But I think, um, having, if you win a match, you did enough things right. And usually those games where you didn't play well, those are the hardest ones to win. So if you can get over the line in those games and hit those important doubles when you're really struggling, that's success also.
Right on. Yeah, good definition. A couple of questions from our audience. Yeah, Robbie Mills' son RJ wanted to ask you about handling pressure when you're in the big situations, when you're playing in finals, when you're playing on stage in the PDC. How do you handle pressure? How do you look at pressure?
I'm still working on it with the PDC stuff, obviously. But I played lots of PDC events, in Madison Square Gardens and stuff. Um, I think I was always one of those players who was happy to get to the final. I didn't always play my best there, but one of the things it's in, I think it was 2013, I won a tournament here in London. It was a PDC, Canadian Masters tournament. Um, and really all I did was just talk to myself about, didn't really matter, like while the other guy was shooting, if I had a double left, I'd be just, doesn't really matter if I hit this, just don't put any pressure on yourself. Most guys, have a hard time bringing their basement game, out to the,
Yeah,
to the stage.
absolutely.
And I just try to, just say it's just like in my basement, just somewhere else. No big deal.
Perfect. And we did have one other question, and I want to actually build on something that you had let me know. Somebody asked, "Why are you such a gentleman, Jim?" But then you said to me in your little thing that you don't really love that nickname. How come you don't love
I,
that nickname?
I don't know. I don't love it, but it is what it is. I think, I've always believed that, in a tournament, you go to a tournament, this, Clint, and you can walk in the room, and if there's 50 guys there, um, you can usually say, I think one of these 10 guys will probably win today. You know what I mean? You can usually tell, right? There's 10 guys. Those are the top 10 guys. Those guys, one of those 10 will probably win today. Um, But if you don't have the other 40 guys come out because they love to play darts or because they're learning or they want to get better and they're trying, you don't even have a tournament,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You don't have a tournament with 10 guys. So I always felt like, the guys who are just learning or wanting to play darts and they're coming out and they're just love darts. That's what darts is all about.
Yeah, there's no payout for the top players if the grassroots players aren't there learning and trying to get better.
No, exactly. And I would just try to treat them guys the same as I treat everyone the same, whether they're the top guy in the room or guy who doesn't win any games.
All right. Well, I'm Jim. You didn't ask for this, but I'm going to put it out there anyways. To the audience of the DartBrain community, Jim Long needs a new nickname. So send in your suggestions. We'll run a poll and we'll find Jim a new nickname. Okay, so today our plan is to talk about confidence, which is the topic that we had in episode 10, the last episode. So the goal of this episode is to build on that with some real insight from one of North America's top players. Let's kick this off with a confidence-specific question. Confidence in darts goes hand in hand, Jim. When in your career did you first realize how much confidence mattered?
Uh, to be honest, I think it's just recently, probably last year. Um, playing the Moda Super Series and the CDC. Um, I've always, I've always just played because I like it, because I enjoy it. And, um, I enjoy trying to win, I always remember losing more than I remember any of my wins. But, it was last year that's when I went to see a sports psychologist about confidence. I'm not a confident player. Um, I remember the bad stuff way more than I remember the good stuff. And, I think a lot of dart players are like that. And I'm also realistic. Uh, so so I've had a bit of a learning curve on that, trying to boost my confidence. The sports psychologist stuff helped, the mantras and self talk. And like I said, talking to yourself, um, the way you talk to your doubles partner, not how you talk to yourself. So yeah, it's really just a new thing for me, really last year. And it really seemed to help, build my confidence. And like I won a few, CDC events. I won a Modus 2 week sessions there. And then went and got my tour card. So yeah, so now it's another level of working on my confidence. So
Yeah, fair enough. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to hear that's something that only in the last years, because you've played well for a lot of years, and it seems like now this transition, jumping up to that higher level, is the thing where you realize, yeah, I need to use this more as a weapon, if you will. Is that fair to say it like that?
absolutely. I didn't do any mental preparation or any mental, thoughts on the game at all. I just knew I liked to play. Um, I like to play good players. I find that's thrilling. It's, fun to play and challenge myself. Um, and like I didn't think about whether I was confident or not. I just was able to clear my mind and just play. And
Is there a moment that you can think of where you lost your confidence, and had to fight to get it back, even recently since you've been over playing PDC Tour? Have you had that moment where you recognize, wow, my confidence is low and I need to do something to bring this back up? Or was that the impetus to go see the sports psychologist in the first place?
yeah, the sports psychologist was about, I knew that my floor game was, not the best. I would sit around at tournaments and laughing and joking around, and then somebody'd have to tap me on the shoulder. You're up in 5 minutes kind of thing, and I wasn't preparing properly. You go to a big tournament, and it's like in Canada, these tournaments run for hours and hours.
Yeah.
And so that's really why I did it. I wanted my floor game to be better. I'd play okay on a stage, I'd go to a stage play and, you're preparing for one game and it was simple. Preparing for, a full day of being mentally sharp. I needed help with that. But man, like there's innumerable count of examples I could give you on when I've lost my confidence and been, shaky or doubting myself or whatever. I think, yeah, I think that's a hard battle, for most players, there's very few that are like almost delusionally confident, that don't let things, that they don't remember the bad stuff. They'll tell you how good they played when it's maybe not even true. You know what I mean? I think those guys have a bit of an advantage. They don't see the whole picture, and that's tough, I think, for somebody like me.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm similar to you, Jim, the way that you describe it, where uh, I'm not so much thinking about confidence all the time, but I feel it sometimes. And then you play people where it just seems like they're completely unfazed by anything that happens. And if you're getting phased, that almost becomes distracting, right? Like, why am I bothered and they're not?
It's a bit of a funny thing, and I think it's no different than some people get really nervous, and some people don't get nervous at all. They just can just play, and everyone's built differently, and that's the truth. We're all wired different, um, but those guys have that extra little bit of an advantage, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point that you just made from a sports psychology perspective, is that you have to recognize that you are different than everybody else, and you have to figure out your systems. Even talking with Danny Labby yesterday, when I asked him the question about emotion, you said it really doesn't. I try to stay even keeled. I don't get overly excited. I don't do big cheers. Where Danny talks about, he's fiery. He wants to be fired up. He wants somebody to throw big shots against him so that he can really get that edge. And that's two totally different perspectives on something that's the same. I mean, technically the same, but you're both using it differently. And I think that's a really good insight that everybody needs to keep in mind, is you have to find out what works for you. It's not just, I'm going to be like Jim Long or I'm going to be like Danny Lauby. There's probably bits and pieces that you can pick up from either of you.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, exactly.
what do you do in practice to build confidence? Or is that something that you think about? Like, is there anything you do to build confidence in practice that helps you carry it onto the stage?
Yeah. I I don't know about carrying it onto the stage, but I think carrying it onto every game you play is, I think you build confidence at practice. During your practice, I don't think it should be overly challenging. I don't think it should be hurting your confidence. If you're failing, I know, a lot of the dialogue goes back and forth about making practice, putting some stakes in practice and maybe losing, but man, if you're losing at your practice, and how are you feeling confident wise when you head to the bar? You know what I mean? And done, I always feel like, like the basics, you start at 10, you go up by 10, down by one, you got three darts, build some practice on your doubles. And as you get better at them, you just feel better about it. I know for me, when my double 20's working good, that's usually when I'm winning stuff because it affects the rest of my whole game. So I'll spend days taking out everything from 40, uh, to 80. You know what I mean? And even if I have like 62 left, I'll go single 11, double 20, trying to build that confidence, on the third dart on the double 20. Um, and just as practice, just to change things up a little bit and do things a little bit different. But I always try to go to my event and, um, not feel not let the moment get to me. I try to just say, I, I can do this all the time at home in the basement. Just relax and just shoot it. Stay clear.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I think that it's definitely something we talked about in the last episode. The idea that confidence, a lot of your confidence comes from preparation. Sure, your results are going to impact your confidence, but your preparation, knowing that you're ready, is just such a huge part of it. And once you get under pressure, or you're starting to feel that the heartbeat a little bit harder, just having that to lean on to go, yeah, I've put in the work, I can make this shot, and feeling that self efficacy, that belief in yourself.
Yeah. Put in the time and you know, usually things happen as long as you're putting it in right. I know a lot of guys who all they just want to do is play 501, and that never changes anything.
No, and in fact, actually, and I like what you're saying about practice too. Is you actually taught me a game in Nashville. I just call it triple to double, where you have to hit a big triple before you're allowed to hit the double, and you play around the world on the doubles. For me, the thing that's built my confidence in is transition shots. You know, like the 78s, the 62s, the 84s. I mean, those are the shots that win you matches when you don't need to go up with 3 darts at 40 or 3 darts at 24. But when you knock down one of those numbers, that's been really helpful for me in building my confidence of making those types of shots. So I think that's something you have to build into practice is the types of shots you're going to make into games. You don't have to make practice extremely hard, but it should represent at least something that you're going to be doing in the game because you don't just throw out the triple 20 all day long. It's about half the game you throw out the triple 20, and then the rest of it you're setting up or you're playing for the double.
You know, that game, it came, my first time I saw it was Raymond Smith from Australia. And I'll play that game and I will, my first 3 darts, my first turn will be at the 20. And if I get the triple, I go to the 1, right? And then the next 3 darts will be at the 19, and then the 18, and then the 17. So that I'm like not even just using the triple 20. I'll use everything down to the triple 17 as my cover shot. And
Okay.
so first 2 darts are at the triple 17. Now if I get the triple, I have double 3. And the great little addition to that game is if you don't hit a triple with your first 2 darts, is you throw a bullseye with the third dart. And if you hit the bullseye, with your third dart, you get all 3 darts at the next double, which there's no wasted darts in that routine. If you don't hit a triple, you got 1 dart for the bullseye. If you get the bullseye, now it replicates the feeling of I got 3 in hand. I mean, usually when you're playing this game, you'd like to go, 4, 5, and 6. And now you're on 7. So you're not having to get so many triples to doubles because it's not easy. But, I think that is one of the very best practices. That one, as well as, 2 darts in every double, in
I
out
do
of
that one
3.
too.
I just find that it helps my grouping almost more than my doubles. My grouping is better when it comes to scoring. Um, but yeah, it's a great game.
Let's talk about right now. This next question was more generic, but I'd like to frame it up in the world that you're in right now. Is you've mentioned that you haven't seen the results that you'd like to see so far on the PDC tour. What are you doing right now to try and make sure that your confidence stays strong and that you are performing better as you continue to go on with your PDC tournaments?
Again, if I play well enough, I'm okay losing. And obviously if you win a game, it's nice. You know what I mean? Cause it's so much money on the line there to help pay for your trips and stuff. But, um, I'm trying to get back, and honestly, I listen to all the podcasts you put out and, uh, trying to build things from them myself, like getting some fun back in, making sure I'm having a good time while I'm playing and what a privilege it is to be there, even though, um, I'm putting too much pressure on myself to win games. I think the hardest part is, it's like you go to a tournament, you got a first round game, you're hoping not to draw the best guy in the room on your first game, right? Cause that first game's hard to get through quite often. Well, that's my every first round now is hard. Doesn't matter who you're playing.
Yeah,
And, and the crazy thing about it is there's more money to be won than I can win in any final in Canada, pretty much,
for that
in
one
a
match.
for in a first round match in England is it's about 1,800 Canadian dollars. Um, and people complain about going 4 hours away to a tournament, or man, I got to fly to Alberta to play. I'm flying a 12-hour travel day plus losing 5 hours and the time change, or 6 depending where I'm going. So I'm investing a lot into going. So the pressure is building. It's hard. It's yeah, it's tough because I'm paying my own way, right? So um and I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't want a management company personally, but I'm having a go at that right now, trying to get my fun back, not worrying about how much money's on the line, how much money I'm putting out, how far I've traveled. Um, Try not to worry about the ranking system. You know what I mean? Cause that's not important at all. So yeah, there's a lot. And, so again, like I said, I've started back up with my sports psychologist and trying to find a way to keep it fun and keep it interesting.
Yeah, stop or try not to worry so much about the extrinsic components of it, the points, the money, the prestige, all of that stuff can really play with your head, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. And honestly, I felt like I would be fine because it's not, I've retired. I don't have a mortgage. So it's not like I have to do this for a living. Um, but it is expensive. You know what I mean? So all I would like to do is just cover most of my costs if I can. Um, and that's been a little bit stressful too because the tournaments, they don't seem to put them together. I have 1 week in England and then a week off and then a week in Germany. And so what, I got to stay in hotels for a week somewhere or do I come home because, it's the same cost, you know what I mean? Or do I just sit around in a hotel? It costs me the same amount of money just to come home. So my wife hasn't been coming as much. So it's been tough. It's been tough. It's a hard lifestyle for sure.
It's a physical and mental toll that it takes on you. And you can only do that for so long. Like I think it's got to be real difficult if a Canadian or an American really wanted to go up to that next level and be, top 16 on the PDC tour. I don't know if you can do that from North America.
I don't think so. I think I mean, you're not even talking about jet lag. You're not even talking about,
No.
uh, you know, I think it's oddly enough, the best week I had at the pro tour level, I slept 3 hours a night. I watched the sun coming up every morning at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning in Germany around the curtains. And I'm up at 8:30, to be picked up by 9:15 to be at the venue. And so, yeah, it's tough. I looked at the possibility of staying there, even just renting a place. It's like England, and then it's North England, and then it's middle of England, then it's Germany, then it's another one. It's not like, yeah, it's not like they're all in one place kind of thing. It's a lot of travel.
Yeah, you can't just park somewhere and go to everything. You're
No.
still traveling even once you get there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
On stage, confidence can swing fast, or in matches in general, confidence can swing fast. What do you do mid-match to keep yours? Like if you start feeling your confidence slip a little bit, maybe you're playing great, maybe you've missed a few doubles now, or maybe somebody's making a comeback on you. What do you try to do to maintain your confidence in those situations?
I'm learning that part of the game myself because, and that's where I talk about I try not to let my emotions get to me because when the lead slips or you've made some bad shots or you broke his throw and then you play a real dud with your throw and then give it right back. It's hard to, stay on an even keel there. So that's why I try not to get too emotional about anything, good or bad. And, yeah, it's hard to get back to clearing your mind. Like I said, I don't like to do too much self-talk while I'm up there, just because then I get almost concentrating on self-talk instead of playing.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I try to just keep it simple as I can and quiet, in my mind as much as I can uh, and try to not worry so much about the result, cause you can play amazing and still lose, very easily. So, I just try to just play my best and try to just not worry about the result.
Do you have any mechanics cues that you use if you feel like your throw is off a little bit and your confidence is slipping? Like I'll give you an example from myself is especially if I'm on a against the throw leg and I'm getting behind in the leg, I'm not throwing well. I will stop trying to win that leg. Not that I don't want to win that leg, but I'll switch to the point and I'll just focus on my follow through. I know if I focus on my follow through, the rest of my mechanics are going to come together. Do you have anything like that you use?
Yeah, if I get into that spot where I'm feeling a little, flat or whatever, uh, Wayne Mardell had a video where he called it, oh gosh, I was just going to say, I can't remember the name of it, but anyways, yeah, where you just hold that fall through just for an extra second, um, and just visual, visual something. Anyway, um, but for me, yeah, I just try to stay loose because when the pressure builds, quite often you start to get a little tight. And so I just try to talk to myself. Um, I did a, sports psychology program and she called it, feel right focus, where you just feel how you would feel when you're at your best. And then your focus is on that in a side vague feeling. And then just, uh, you know, then you're not trying so hard on the triples. Just to, visual confirmation. That's what it was.
Visual confirmation. Gotcha.
Visual
Yeah.
confirmation where your hands out. Okay. Visual confirmation. Um, anyways, yeah, I just try to feel relaxed and loose. That's the biggest thing for me.
It's interesting that you talk about feel because sports psychology books actually talk about this a fair bit, particularly in precision sports. Golf certainly comes to mind. Archery comes to mind. Is the the movements that you have to make and the timing that you have to make those movements with, you can't control them consciously. It's like the timing of your release, you can't control that consciously. If you're releasing too early or too late, you have to find the right feel. You can't just say, oh, now I want to release it at this point in time because it's milliseconds. You don't have that opportunity. So yeah, the feel piece of it becomes really important. And I think there's a big part of that in practice where you have to practice knowing what that feels like. When you start getting on a roll in practice, for myself at least, okay, what does this feel like right now? What am I doing? I want to keep riding this. I want to understand this feeling so that I can try and conjure it up once I'm back into a match or when I start having those lows.
Definitely not what I'm doing, but how am I feeling?
Yeah,
That's it. You don't want to think about what you're doing because that'll just mess you up. You just want to think about how does this feel? Just how that feels and then repeat that feeling. Yeah. And that's, the focus you get instead of focusing on winning a match or losing a match or whether or not you're even playing well. I find those are terrible distractions. Um, so I just try to feel that feeling and feel loose and that's it.
excellent. So for yourself personally, do you think that confidence is more about believing in yourself or silencing self-doubt?
I think it's the first. If you believe in yourself, I think the self doubt will go. I struggle, like I said, with that, but, I think that it is, the first thing there. If you can believe in yourself, I think that, um, you will silence the self criticism and the self doubt, I think it's understanding,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one. I like that question because there are people that really struggle with self doubt. And that's the self talk that they're having with themselves is they're doubting themselves, and there is a big difference when you can make that shift from focusing on trying to quell the self doubt to just trying to really bolster the self belief in your ability to get something done. So it's an interesting thing hearing from a top player that yeah, I'm more focused on believing in myself. I'm not really worried about the self doubt because I've built up this skill. I've done this work. I can leave that to the side.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if you can strengthen that belief that, you're a good player, the self doubt should diminish on its own there.
Yeah, sure. How do you approach matches against bigger name players? And obviously, you're doing this a lot more now. Does your confidence shift at all in those situations, or do you treat it the same as if you were in a floor match in Canada?
Well, I'll tell you honestly, no, I think, the big name thing is almost just taking a back seat to all the other pressures, that have come along with this. I've always enjoyed playing guys like that. I think that, you got nothing to lose. Um, if you lose to this guy, top five guy in the world, they're like, well, you're kind of expected to lose to that guy. You know what I mean? So the pressure's off. Even when I used to play in our local league here, The best guys, everybody was talking about the best guys, and I enjoyed playing those guys because nobody cared if you lost to those guys. And if you're playing somebody at your own level, those are games you don't want to lose because you're trying to keep going forward. And there was much more pressure playing someone, at my same level than it was playing someone on the up because that guy, he's supposed to win.
Do you find that there's a freeing aspect to that as well? Like, do you? So I've already talked about follow through. When I'm playing, let's say Robbie Mills. Robbie's the best player in Alberta right now. I end up playing him a lot. I find that when I play him, I just release and I just go because I know that anything short of that, trying to be better, trying too hard when I'm on a double, trying to lob darts into places they shouldn't go. If I do any of that, I know I'm screwed. So when I'm playing a guy like Robbie, it sort of frees me up just to play my best and let my darts fly. Like, do you have some of that experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Yeah. That's the way it should be, I think. The hard part is getting that same feeling against someone who you feel like you should beat, right? Um, or that is, like I said, right at your level, like right in the same area as you, skill level or, success wise. So, getting that transition from that relaxed against the top guy feeling, um, that's, that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. What advice would you give a player who feels that their confidence disappears as soon as they make a mistake?
Oh, well, I think everybody makes mistakes. I think it's just a simple thing of darts. Like the percentages of hitting the very best guys are what, 40, 50% on their doubles. And that's like, that's missing more than you hit. And a standard for a year is a 40% or whatever for the best guy. You go down the list, everybody else it's kind of like in baseball, right? A 300 average he's out 7 times out of 10, right? But that's considered a good hitter. So mistakes are happening. And I mean, even the simple big number, those happen all the time. So I think if you take it to heart, like you made a mistake and that's wrecking your confidence, then I think you just have to realize that, man, we all make mistakes. It's a game of millimeters up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many times have you missed 3 or 5 doubles and end up losing the match because of it?
Can you, like, it's innumerable.
Couldn't count them. Yeah, if you
Can
play enough, you're going to have lots of them.
could not even count them. I know. And like I said, I've done that this year where, Um, I played Martin Schindler. I'd break his throw in 12 darts and then I couldn't hold in 18,
Yeah, right.
miss 6 or 7 darts at a double and then break him in 12 and then can't hold in 18. So yeah, that's, pretty common. It's a pretty common, thing. So, that's why you practice and build your confidence on your doubles.
All right. So, last question here. Confidence is contagious. What's one thing you'd like listeners to take from your journey to build on their own belief at the Oche?
You've got all the time in the world. I mean, I didn't start playing competitive darts until I was 50, really. Um, yeah, you got all the time in the world. Keep working, keep practicing, do things right, work on the mental game. Once you can throw them straight, the rest of the game is in your head. It's 90% mental. And if you're losing your focus, figure out why you're losing your focus. Confidence will come. Put in the good practice.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for doing this, Jim. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by some of the things that you've said because they're the same things that they're going through, even as grassroots players. And that's one of the things I really love about this game is how equalizing it is your skill level may be at a different place, but hitting a triple still feels great. Nailing a double still feels amazing. Missing a double on the wire still feels terrible. You still have those confidence swings, those motivation swings. We're all going through it. It doesn't really matter what level you're at. You're still going through it. And I think that sometimes people need to hear that there are top players that are going through these same things. Like it's not that you're just magically one day going to be so confident that you never worry about a shot, you never get stressed. That's not a real thing. You're always going to be going through this. You're always going to be fighting for it, and that's part of what makes this game so exciting.
Oh, it is. And win or lose, you're still competing and you're still, getting an opportunity. And if you lose, go back to the next tournament and do your best at that one and see how it goes.
Fantastic. All right, Dart Nerds, that is a wrap on episode 11 with Jim the Gentleman Long. Soon to be something else, because you guys are going to come up with a new nickname for Jim. Confidence isn't something you buy at the pro shop. It's something you build, protect, and carry with you every time you step to the Oche. And we're not slowing down. Next up, in episode 12, we're diving into the world of coaching, what makes a great darts coach, how to actually get better when someone's watching over your shoulder, and why coaching isn't just for kids grinding it out in pub leagues. Then in episode 13, we're going to take that coaching train and roll it a little further on with an interview you won't want to miss. One of the top U.S. players, Alex Spellman, joins me to share his experience both as a competitor and a coach. Expect some big insights, a few good laughs, and maybe a secret or two about how Americans are upping their game. So until then, take a breath, trust your throw, and for the love of tungsten, don't let the monkey drive the bus. This has been DartBrain. I'm Clint Clarkson. Until next time, stay focused, throw with purpose, and train your dart brain.